Our dependence on fossil fuels is causing some problems here on our planet. Number one, whenever we burn fossil fuels, these things they emit carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is a gas that naturally forms. You breathe it out of your mouth, but it's also what's known as a greenhouse gas. Greenhouse is like a building with glass windows, and it allows sunlight to pass through, and it warms up the inside of the greenhouse. But then it traps that heat. It doesn't allow the heat to come back up, and so the greenhouse warms up, and you keep your plants alive in the wintertime. The carbon dioxide around the earth acts the same way. It's like a blanket around the earth. And so as light passes through, the carbon dioxide allows the light to pass through and it hits the earth, but then it traps that heat and doesn't allow it to come back out. So that's why it's called the greenhouse effect, because it's very similar to what you find with a greenhouse. So this is warming the planet. The other things that fossil fuels can do is they emit a lot of pollution along with that carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide in itself is not that bad as far as pollution goes, but it does warm the planet. But there are other nasty things that come out. There's sulfur dioxide, other things when you burn coal, and that when the rain passes through it, the rain becomes slightly acidified. It creates acid rain. And the acid rain can break down things. Here we see Cleopatra's Needle in New York. It's in Central Park. And Cleopatra's Needle, the acid rain has eaten away the limestone even. You can see the hieroglyphs on here have been eroded away, except for 2,000-3,000 years in Egypt, perfectly fine, because they don't get a lot of rain in Egypt, and they don't have a lot of industry around the monuments as well. So when they moved this to Central Park, it's only lasted about 100 years. It's already deteriorating away. There's another monument in Egypt that's identical to this. It's like the sister to this. This is an obelisk. It's kind of like the Washington Monument up in Washington, D.C. It's a really tall statue with a little pyramid point on the top. There's one in Egypt that's identical to it. It's still perfectly fine. But the one they put in New York, when it's around all this industry that we have up in the northeastern United States, that pollution it puts out, when the rain falls through it, it eats away at the rock. Vegetation can be damaged by it as well because, again, acid rain, the plants don't like growing in acidic soils. So the plants can be harmed. Ponds can be harmed. The fish and the vegetation, the phytoplankton in those ponds, the base of the food chain, if the water becomes too acidic, then they're going to die off, and then so is all the other life up in the food chain. Over here on the left-hand side, we see this factory emitting this pollution, and we see the acid rain falling down, and it's asking, what would happen to the ponds and systems and the forested areas around, those heavy industries. Well, they're going to become more acidic, and you're going to start to see the plant life and the wildlife die off slowly because of that acid rain.